The story begins with Tsuneo, a very busy and lonely young man who divides his time between several activities. One of his friends asks him how yesterday's dive was, and he replies that he saw a Priolepis nocturna, a very rare species of fish. He says he was lucky because the sea was calm yesterday. Tsuneo is on summer vacation from college, so his friend invites him to go diving next Wednesday. Before Tsuneo can answer, another friend arrives and says that he should go out with some girls because it seems that fish are his only company. But Tsuneo refuses, saying that he needs to work, and leaves his friend outraged that he is wasting his youth. Tsuneo goes outside and crosses the street. When he reaches an alley, he hears screams of despair. A girl comes in a wheelchair without brakes. She comes towards Tsuneo, who saves her from a fall that would have been fatal. She falls on top of him. She is panting. He asks if she is okay, but she does not answer. Suddenly, an old woman arrives calling for Kumiko. She thanks Tsuneo for saving Kumiko. When the grandmother turns her back, Kumiko bites Tsuneo's hand and says he's a pervert for touching her. On the way back, Tsuneo follows the two of them. Kumiko continues to call him a pervert, but he says that his house is around there too. Grandma explains that Kumiko was born like that without the ability to move her legs. Tsuneo asks if they always walk around there at this time. Grandma says no, because it's dangerous, because this world is full of beasts. They finally get home, but Grandma invites Tsuneo to dinner. He accepts. The dish of the day is octopus dumplings. A black cat appears and is angry with Tsuneo, so Grandma takes him out, saying that he's just a stray cat. Tsuneo asks Kumiko if she always feeds the cat. She says no, and that the cat is a pervert, and is angry with Tsuneo for invading his territory. Tsuneo then calls her Kumiko, but she corrects him, saying that her real name is Josei. Dinner is served and Tsuneo eats with. Grandma asks if he's very poor because he is hungry, but he says he is a broke student and is trying to save money. Josei then asks her grandmother for tea, but Tsuneo decides to help him. He brings Josei a cup and says she is too demanding. She then throws a book at Tsuneo's head. He then leaves and apologizes for the inconvenience, but when he is about to leave, the old woman asks him if he doesn't want to earn some money. The next day at work, Tsuneo explains that he has gotten a job that pays well. He says he works for an 80-year-old woman. While he is washing clothes, he sees Josei's bite on his arm. When his boss arrives, he says he intends to hire Tsuneo full-time when he finishes college, but Tsuneo says he intends to leave Japan and go to Holland or Mexico. Then his friend asks him what he is going to do in this new job. He says he has no idea. But when he finally arrives, the old woman tells him that he must do everything Kumiko tells him. She also says that there is only one rule. He must not take Kumiko out. The old woman says this and leaves the house, leaving him and Josei alone. Josei then immediately goes into the room and asks Tsuneo to get on his knees. He obeys but asks why. She answers to see how long he can hold out. A month later, he is fed up with working with Josei and has even started drinking. She orders him to do completely useless things like counting the stitches of the carpet or looking for a 4-leaf clover. Tsuneo's friend asks him to quit soon, but he answers that for now he needs the money. The next day at university, Tsuneo is called by his professor. He had his scholarship approved to study in Mexico. Tsuneo gets excited and promises to learn Spanish as soon as possible. Tsuneo gets home and falls asleep. He begins to dream that his room fills with water. Josie has the same dream. She swims among large sea creatures, but is soon woken up by her grandmother. Josei then asks her if she can continue with her walks around the city, but her grandmother says no. She says that the world is full of monsters, and Josei might get hurt. Grandma then takes a nap, and soon after Tsuneo arrives, he came to tell Josei that he is going to quit this job, but realizes that she is not home. He opens the door to her room and comes across several paintings, but he hears the old woman's voice calling for Kumiko. He goes to see, and she says that Kumiko disappeared. He quickly manages to find her as she tries to escape by the train track. She then asks him to take her to the sea. If he doesn't, she will start screaming, saying that she was abused by him. Tsuneo is reluctant to accept but changes his mind. He takes her to a station, and while she buys the tickets, people seem to bother her. They finally get on the train, and Josei seems fascinated by the landscape, as if she had never seen it before. Tsuneo looks at her, then she asks what he wants. He replies that he was just thinking about the drawings that Josei had made. She is embarrassed to know that Tsuneo entered her room. They finally reach the sea and Josie is impressed. She gets so excited that when her chair gets stuck in the sand, She throws herself on the floor to reach the sea. She says that she wants to taste the sea because her father died without giving her answers, and everything she knows comes from books. She wants a real experience. Tsuneo decides to help her and picks her up while he rocks her from side to side. Jose has fun and discovers that the sea is salty. When they return, they get a scolding from Grandma. But Tsuneo asks if Jose wants to see any other place. She replies that Grandma always takes a nap at 1 in the afternoon. They then go to several places together because for Jose, everything is a new experience. They do this for days so that every day Tsuneo takes her to a different place. He then takes her to an aquarium where he tells her the names of all the sea creatures. When Josie gets home, she starts drawing everything she wants. What do you see? Meanwhile, her grandmother is in a meeting with the government aid guy. He says that Kumiko needs to get a job and live independently, but her grandmother refuses, saying that the world is too dangerous for her. The next day, Tsuneo takes Jose to the city library. She chooses several books and tells Tsuneo her favorites. Then she goes to register to take them away. The librarian says that she loves the books that Jose is taking, but Jose is shy. Soon, Tsuneo arrives and the librarian asks Jose if he is her boyfriend, making her even more shy on the way out. Tsuneo says that Jose made a friend, but Jose doesn't quite understand. She just says goodbye to the nice girl. On the way back, she asks Tsuneo what it's like to talk to several people. Tsuneo replies that it is normal and decides to take her to the restaurant where he works. When they get there, they are greeted by Tsuneo's friend, who soon asks if Jose has any social media, but she doesn't know what it is. He says that an analog girl these days is a rarity, but he soon gets distracted by other girls. Then Tsuneo's friend May approaches and greets Jose, but Jose seems jealous of him and asks to go home. She then goes out on the street alone and Tsuneo follows her, trying to understand what happened. They have a brief discussion about Jose's actions, and soon after she leaves alone. She tells her grandmother that she doesn't want to see Tsuneo anymore. The old woman then calls Tsuneo, saying that he is fired. While he is at work, he receives a message from the dean that his studies in Mexico begin in 6 months. Josie goes to the library alone, and the librarian asks where Tsuneo is. Josie replies that that useless idiot is no longer working for her. The librarian laughs because it is obvious that Josie is jealous of him. A child then asks to Josie reads a book. To them, she accepts but gets very nervous in front of them. She starts telling stories and she is terrible at it. All the children run away from her. Even a little girl asks what the mermaid's castle was like. Instead of describing it, Jose decides to draw it. She makes a great drawing and the librarian says that she should be an illustrator, but she refuses. Later, Tsuneo arrives at Jose's house. He goes in, but she says that idiots are not welcome. But he brought a beautiful gift, a lamp in the shape of a fish. She asks what fish it is, and he answers that it is a rare species that is only found in Mexico. When he was a child, he liked to watch this fish in an aquarium. His parents got divorced, and since then the aquarium has served as an escape from the real world. They fought a lot, maybe it was better that way. Suddenly the lamp breaks down, and Tsuneo comes over to fix it. He stands next to Jose and she feels something. The next day, Jose is getting ready and her grandmother is surprised. Tsuneo arrives. They go somewhere. Jose tells her grandmother that the world is not that scary. They leave and her grandmother starts laughing. They go to a zoo. While watching the tiger, Josie holds Tsuneo's arm, saying that it is good to have him there to support her. On the way back, Josie comments that she made a drawing for the children, and that made her want to do that professionally. She wants to take a risk just like Tsuneo does. A few days later, Jose's grandmother passes away. Josie says that she left some money, but that it is no longer possible to pay her salary. Later, while Tsuneo was diving, he ended up running out of oxygen and his friends returned to the surface. They said that Tsuneo is not usually so distracted. Tsuneo replied that Jose's grandmother had passed away and now she is alone. Tsuneo's friend said that the government can take care of Josie and that it is not his job. The next day, Josie received a visit from 2 social workers. One of them was named Fujita, and he told her that her grandmother had died and that there was no one left to support her. He asked her what she intended to do. She replied that she wanted to draw. The man said that it was not time to play around and that she needed to get a real job. Jose then left. Later, Josie went to the edge of a river where she met Tsuneo's friend and his friend. Tsuneyo's friend begged Josie to release him from his job because he was a guy with a bright future. Josie replied that Tsuneyo did not need her permission and tried to leave, but Tsuneyo's friend said that Tsuneyo only visited Josei out of pity for her condition. The next day, Tsuneyo arrived at the hotel. Josei's house and she seems very strange and rejects Tsuneyo's presence. She tells him to leave, but her radio is having problems and Tsuneyo stays to fix it. She then asks him to take her to the sea as a last request. When she gets there, Josei sheds a tear and tells Tsuneyo that her dreams are unattainable. She got a job in an office. Tsuneyo says that this is no reason to give up her art, but she replies that it doesn't matter because Tsuneyo will be leaving soon. She runs away with her chair, but in the middle of the street she ends up getting stuck in a rock while the cars pass by. Tsuneyo runs to help her but ends up being run over. Josei tries to help but falls on the road. She can only watch his fallen body. A girl then arrives and calls an ambulance, while Josei is frustrated by her limitations. At the hospital, Tsuneyo wakes up, and in the doctor's office he receives bad news. His leg has an exposed fracture. His bones have broken in several places. Maybe he won't be able to recover, or he will have serious after effects. Maybe he won't be able to walk anymore. This leaves Tsuneyo thinking. Josei goes to visit him and asks for forgiveness. He says it wasn't her fault, but she notices regret on his face. He lies down. Later, Josei cries in her room. In the hospital, Tsuneyo gets more bad news. His professor says that the university has decided to postpone his scholarship indefinitely because of his health problems. Tsuneyo cries, saying that he won't be able to do anything anymore. The next day, his friend comes to visit him and invites him to get some fresh air. During the walk, she realizes that Tsuneyo is giving up on life. He says that it's horrible not being able to achieve his goals. She then confesses, saying that she is madly in love with Tsuneyo. The atmosphere gets heavy, and they decide to go back to the hospital. Later, she goes to Josei's house, but Josei doesn't want to see her. She says that she knows Tsuneyo much better than she does, and that she never wanted him to go to Mexico. Josei then opens the door, saying that Tsuneyo can't give up on his dreams, and that she can't stop Josei from having feelings for him. The girl then leaves. Josei then has an idea, and decides to restart her art, and prepares a good story. A few days later, Tsuneyo's friend gets permission to take him out of the hospital, but he doesn't want to. His friend persists and takes him to the library where they meet Josei. She begins to tell the children a story with her art. The story is about a mermaid and an angel, and it is nothing more than an allegory of the story of Josei and Tsuneyo. The story goes like this. A young mermaid could not walk on dry land and desperately wanted to see the sea. Then an angel appears and told her not to be afraid of the world. She trusted him and went to the sea. It was fantastic, but the mermaid had a difficult personality. Even so, they visited many places. One day, a giant tiger tried to eat the mermaid, but the young angel stood in front of him to save her. He faced the tiger but lost his wings. Upon seeing him like this, the young mermaid discovered her importance and wished to live with him in the depths of the ocean. When the story ends, everyone claps and Tsuneyo feels inspired. Determination has returned to his eyes. He participates in the rehabilitation sessions with determination, and little by little he begins to walk again. Later, he tells Josei that he will be leaving the hospital on the 24th at 10 a.m. If she wants, she can come and get him. She is happy and leaves. The day finally arrives and Tsuneyo waits for Josei, but she does not appear. She goes to her house but cannot find her. He calls his friends to help him look for her. They search everywhere, but to no avail. Tsuneyo arrives at the train station, and the guard says he saw a girl in a wheelchair boarding the train to the zoo. Josei is there, and they face the tiger, as a way to overcome their fears. Tsuneyo arrives, but she is already gone. She left a trail with her wheelchair. She follows her, but cannot find her. As Josei returns home, a man bumps into her, making her go towards a ramp. She loses control, but Tsuneyo grabs her at the last moment. She asks if he was hurt. He replies that he started running when he saw her falling. He says he's going to Mexico, but first he needs to make a mermaid happy. She tells Josei, "I love you," she replies in tears. "I love you." They kiss passionately. A few years later, he finds Josei on the park bench. She was drawing. He says he's on vacation from college. They smile. And this is the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you got to the end, comment, "I deserve a cookie." See you next time.